Hey guys, welcome back to CYL TV. Today we're going to be continuing with our 1815 What If campaign, and we're going to be playing the Battle of Nivelles. Now, I highly recommend that you go down to the description of this video below and you have a look at the preliminary videos. The preliminary video for this specific battle basically outlines the orders of battle, the ratings for the corps commanders, divisional commanders, and individual brigade commanders. And there's a terrain brief as well. So if you really want to have a good understanding of this game, I recommend you look at that. Otherwise, we're just going to play a battle, and I guess you'll pick it up as we go along. I also mentioned that in this first video of the battle proper, what we would do is I would explain what the plan of attack is for the Prussians and their allies, and what the plan for defense would be for Marshal Davout and his French forces. So what we're going to do now is we'll crack on with that, and then we'll start the battle. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to determine the Prussian plan of attack, and I'm going to do this randomly because I'm not controlling either side, like not in command of either side. I'm trying to be as neutral as I possibly can. The Prussians have essentially three main options. One, they could attack on the left, on their left flank, which is the nearest to the camera here. That's fairly good terrain for cavalry, but the village of Nivelles is a bit of an issue because any kind of attack on this left flank, this Prussian left flank, is going to get some desultory fire out of that BUA. So that's a problem. They could attack in the center. Again, they've still got the problem with the BUA, but that's something worth considering. And they could attack on their right, the French left. They know they have a Dutch-Belgian Nassau, an allied division, marching to help them on their right. The problem they have over there is it's not going to arrive for some time, turn 6. And the other issue is, of course, that's rather complex terrain over there because you have a built-up area and you have the woods. So that's a bit of a problem as well. So the way I look at it, the odds are the best option would probably be to attack on the left. And then the second best option would be to attack on the right. So I'm going to give it we're going to roll for it. 1, 2, 3. They'll attack on the left, on their left. 4 in the center. 5 and 6 on the right. So we'll roll that dice now. Okay, they're going to attack on the right. That's going to be their main effort. So the main effort is going to be to have the Allied division come down on their right and roll up the French. So that's going to be the main effort. As for the French, their orders are pretty simple. They've got themselves in a reasonably good defensive position. They're simply going to hold. They have the Guard division, but that Guard division will not be committed until at least one brigade, one of the French brigades is classed as faltering. At that point, the Guard division will be committed. And other than that, it's just time to just get it on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to roll for ADC availability for both sides. And I think we'll start with the French because we're on this side of the table. Now, the other thing, at the start of every turn, there is a possibility that the Prussian Guard and the Prussian Heavy Cavalry Brigades can arrive. It's basically a sliding scale. On turn 1, if the Prussians roll a 1, then they arrive. On turn 2, if they roll a 1 or a 2, then the Prussian arrive. So we're going to roll for the Prussian Guard Infantry Brigade. It's turn 1, so if we roll a 1, they're going to arrive on turn 1. 3, no. So not a yet. And now the Prussian Heavy Cavalry, if they arrive, it'll be, we need a 1 for them to arrive. 5, no. So they haven't arrived yet. But just bear in mind, at the start of each turn, we'll be rolling to see if the Prussian Guards or their cavalry arrive. Okay, so now we're going to roll for ADC availability. We have the 12th Division and the 13th Division. There are no divisional adjutants. Because we're playing a corps level game, you only get divisional adjutants if you have, if you've got campaigner divisional commanders or better, and the enemy has 2 commissariats or more commanding their divisions. We don't have that. The Prussians have 1 commissariat and 1 campaigner. Prince William of Orange is classed as a blusterer, but he's not part of Blücher's army, so I'm not going to count him as in the equation. So, with that said, 5 ADCs belong to the 12th Division. That's how many are available. 6, 2, 2, 1. So that's going to be 3. So he's got 3 ADCs available to him. And the 13th Infantry Division, they also have 5 ADCs. How many are available? They've got 4. 6, 4, 4, 4. Okay, so 4 available to them. And the Guards Division's not been committed, so we don't roll for them. So now we're going to roll for the Prussians. Okay, 2 Prussian divisions on the table, the first and the second. So the first, they have 4 ADCs. And they've got a 6, a 5, and a 1. So that's going to give them 4 all up. So 4 for the first division. And now we'll roll for the second division. That also has 4, 6, 4, 4, and 2. So they'll have 3. Right, now we're going to roll for Corps Commander's orders. So it's a red, white, black, and blue. So how many corps orders does Blücher have that he's available to him? Well, he's got, he can have anything he wants. He's got 6, 6, 5, 5. And now for Davout. And he can choose anything he wants as well. 6, 6. So both corps commanders are going to use their corps orders to issue an additional ADC to a division of their choice. So for the Prussians, they're going to get an extra ADC, and for the French, they're going to get an extra ADC as well. Okay, so I'm going to go crack on now. We'll allocate ADCs for the French first and then for the Prussians. Okay, so the Prussians, their 13th Infantry Division, which is commanded by a campaigner, divisional commander, they're going to use one of their CNC tasks straight away, and they're going to go with commit the reserve because they want to bring their cavalry brigade on over here. So they've gone with commit the reserve. That's 2 ADC taskings there. They've got 2 left thanks to their divisional commander, corps commander. Just a re-roll here and a re-roll here. The 1st Infantry Division, artillery assault with a re-roll and 1 ADC tasking to their 2nd Brigade. That's it for the Prussians. The French, for their part, the 12th Division have 3 ADCs. They're going to go with artillery assault and a re-roll. And these 2 brigades will please themselves. Over here, they had 4, but the corps commander's given them 1, so they've got 5. They're going to go with a redeploy order with a re-roll. and artillery assault with a reroll, and nothing for this central brigade. Okay, so let's test for the brigades. This brigade here, artillery assault with a reroll. So we just roll 2 dice because of the reroll, and they've passed. They're good. This brigade here, without any attachment, they've gone hesitant. This brigade here, without any attachment, they've gone hesitant. Brigade in the center without any attachment, they're fine. Artillery assault with a reroll, they've passed, they've got 3 there. And then the redeploy order with a reroll, and they're fine. Okay, so the French have 2 hesitant brigades. Now we'll roll for the Prussians. Okay, this brigade here with a reroll, they're fine. This brigade with a reroll, they're fine. This brigade with a reroll, they're fine. And finally, this brigade without any rerolls, they're fine. So the Prussians have no hesitant brigades. So now we will roll for to see which army has the initiative. Now in the core game, initiative is slightly different. For every division that has 2 or more hesitant brigades, you get an extra dice. So both corps commanders start off with a pool of 2 dice in their hands, white for Prussian, red for the French. And if a individual brigade has 2 hesitant, individual division has 2 hesitant brigades, you get an extra dice. Well, the French are in that boat. Their 12th division has 2 hesitant brigades, so they're going to get a 3rd die. And then we roll them, and the French will take the lower of the 3 dice, the lower 2. Okay, so the French have a double 1, the Prussians have a 2 and a 2. So the Prussians have the initiative for turn 1. So the first thing we have is charge declarations. There are none, and then we have on-table movement. So we'll start with the Prussian movement, and then French movement, Prussian off-table, French off-table. So that's all the on-table movement done. The Prussians have basically advanced with the 1st Infantry Division with their skirmishers going forward. The 2nd Infantry Division echeloning to their right. For the French, they've thrown their skirmishers forward, even the hesitant brigades. Hesitant brigades, skirmish lines are still allowed to move forward. And the infantry that were in, light infantry that were in skirmish order in the woods here have formed column for a view to take possession of this built-up area. That's why the brigade skirmish line has been thrown forward. Obviously, the Marshal Davout has overseen the deployments of the troops, but noticed that this BUA has not been garrisoned and is scrambling to get troops to go forward and take it. Okay, now off-table movement, and the French cavalry with their commit reserve task are going to bring on the 2nd Infantry Division's cavalry brigade. Okay, so the 2nd Infantry cavalry with a forwards order, because they've got the commit reserve tasking, because a single brigade is coming on, not 2, they get a forwards bonus. So it's 2d6 plus 6. They're in column formation. So it's 18 plus 6 is 24 plus, okay, 34 inches. So 34 inches, that would normally be to about here. What the Prussian cavalry have done is they're having a bet each way. They've come up into this position here because, or ideally, the reason they've come onto this flank is because they want to prevent the French taking control of this. If they have the initiative, they should be able to charge these skirmishes in the next turn and send them packing. Now, the issue, of course, is this hedge line here. Now, that will halve their movement, but I can't see anything in the rules that prevents cavalry from charging across a hedge line. So it just means their movement will be half, but with a forwards bonus, you know, potato, potato. So that's the situation there. The other option, of course, is we have these French troops over here, which are recruit quality. So if they really got their a good charge bonus, they might be able to reach those French, and recruits in line charged by cavalry are pretty much mincemeat. So if nothing else, they're quite threatening. So That's all the movement done. Now we'll go to shooting. The Prussians have the initiative. The Prussians will shoot first. So there's no skirmishes that are in range of any target, so we're going to start off straight away with the Prussian artillery. And they're going to do some counter battery fire on the French artillery. They've got artillery assault going, so they'll open fire. So it's 2 dice with the 2 casualty dice, so it's an inferior shot. The red will be the shooting and the white will be the CDs. So 6, so inferior is not going to be anything, and a 3 and a 2 is not going to be anything. So that's pretty ineffective fire from the Prussian battery. The Prussian battery on the hill now will fire, and they're going to fire across at that French battery. And it's just an inferior shot. 5. Okay, nothing. Well, at least they didn't harm themselves, but it's Prussian artillery fire at the moment is pretty ordinary. So now this French battery has artillery assault. It could return fire at the battery that's shooting at them, but there is infantry columns advancing on them. Oh, geez, decisions. I'm going to let the dice decide. So it's 1, 2, 3. They'll shoot at the battery in the tray. Okay, so yeah, they're going to engage in counter battery fire as well. It's going to be 2 dice and 2 casualty dice. The white will be the casualty dice. Okay, 6, no hit, but they do have double 6 on the casualty dice. So that's going to be 2 hits on the Prussian battery. The other battery is hesitant, and there's nothing in range or directly in its arc, but there is the French 12-pounder battery. So the French 12-pounders, they have artillery assault. They also have these Hussars at effective range, so it'll be an effective artillery shot. They will also get a CD for shooting at a column. So they're going to have 3 CDs at the Brunswick Hussars. Whoa, okay, 10 and 2 CDs. So 10's going to be, I suspect, 3 casualties, 4, 5, but I'll just check. Yeah, that's going to be 5 casualties on the Brunswick Hussars. That's brutal. Okay, there's no volley fire, so that is going to be the end of that. Actually, I think there might be some skirmish fire from these guys onto those cavalry. So I'll just check. They are within range, but they would lose 1 for shooting at cavalry, and they would lose 1 because of the hedge that's cover. They've only got 2 bases in range, so that's 2 bases, brigade skirmish line 3. Drop to 1, a single dice can't do casualties, so there'll be no fire from those French skirmishers. So that's the end of turn 1. See if the Prussian Guard Infantry arrives, a 1 or a 2. Okay, the Guard Infantry has arrived. The Prussian Heavy Cavalry, will they arrive? A 1 or a 2? And they arrive too. So all the Prussian, the Guards and the Cavalry have arrived. This could be really good for the Prussians then. Okay, the 12th Infantry Division, they have 5 ADCs. And they've got 4 available. Okay, the 13th Infantry Division, they have 5 ADCs with 3 available. Prussian 1st Infantry Division, they've got 4 ADCs. And they have 5 available. 2nd Infantry Division, 4 ADCs. They have 2 available. And the Prussian Guards Division, they have 3 ADCs, and they have all 3 available. Now the Prussian Corps Commander, we're going to roll for his command dice. Okay, the only one he has available is a black dice. So he has 1 black command available. We might as well roll for actually we'll go over to the French. Marshals Davout, we'll roll for his command dice. He has the black and white available, but the blue and red aren't there for him. So Blücher is going to use his black dice. These represent orders to reinforce. He's going to go with option 3, issue an increased forwards tasking, not a charge, of 2d6 plus 12 inches to any brigade, including any reserve deploying onto the table. So he's going to give that to the Prussian Guard Infantry Brigade. He wants to get them up and on his right flank as quick as they possibly can. So that's what the Prussians will do with theirs. The French, for their part, French Corps Commander is going to use his white dice to invoke Spy. So essentially what this simulates is Davout has got some sympathetic Belgians that are going to attempt to interfere with the deployments of one of the Prussian brigades. We're now going to roll for brigade activation. For the 12th Infantry Division, 4 ADCs, 2 are going to go to artillery assault and a skirmish tasking and a re-roll, all in this first brigade, and the other 2 brigades will just fend for themselves. So, and they've gone hesitant. So nothing's happening there. The 2nd Brigade, the Swiss, they've passed. And the 3rd Brigade, the 51st Regiment, they've passed. Okay, so they've got 1 hesitant brigade in the 12th Infantry Division. 13th Infantry Division, they have 3 ADCs available. They're going to give them all to this central brigade here. They're going to have artillery assault with a re-roll. And they've passed. So now this brigade here, the mixed brigade of recruits, they've passed. And this brigade here, predominantly with the light infantry in the woods, they've passed. Okay, so there's only 1 hesitant brigade in the French army. So there'll be no extra dice being rolled for them. Let's go and have a look, see what the Prussians can do. Okay, so the 1st Infantry Brigade, they've got, 1st Infantry Division, they have 5 ADCs. They're going to give 2 to this brigade for artillery assault and 1 for a re-roll. And then they're going to give 2 to this infantry brigade, 1 for a re-roll and 1 for skirmishing. Okay, so the 1st Infantry Division, 1st Brigade, 1st Regiment, they've passed. 1st Infantry Division, 2nd Brigade, 9th Infantry Regiment, they've passed. Okay, so now we're going to start with the 2nd Infantry Division. Now, the 10th Infantry Regiment is led by a poor brigade commander. The 6th Infantry Regiment is fine. And the cavalry's got a bold. So we're going to give a forwards tasking to the bold cavalry. We're going to give a re-roll to the 6th Infantry Regiment, and the 10th can please themselves because we want them to be able to fire their guns. So first of all, this the 10th Infantry Regiment, they've passed. The 6th Infantry Regiment with a re-roll, they've definitely passed. And the Cavalry Brigade with the Dragoons and the Brunswick Hussars, a bold commander, they've got a forwards tasking, and they've passed. Okay, slight error. This brigade here, Infantry Regiment number 6, they can't have a re-roll because the cavalry, the forwards tasking is actually 2 ADCs. So I'll give them the 2 ADCs. I'll make these guys do a re-roll. So these guys here, they don't have a re-roll or anything like that. Okay, so they've gone hesitant. No. Which means the artillery can't fire. But, you get that on the big job. Now, Prussian Guard Infantry, they're just going to have a re-roll. And he's bold, so it's built-in organic, so he's fine. And they've passed. And the cavalry are going to go with a re-roll and forwards. And they've passed. Now, the spies are at play. So we're going to make this division re-roll. Okay, so the infantry division, they've passed. The cavalry division, they've passed. So they've all passed, and the spies didn't really help. Okay, So now we roll for Corps Initiative. So now we roll for Corps Initiative. The French will be the white dice. And the French have the initiative. So the French charge declarations, they have none. The Prussians, for their part, they do have a charge declaration because they want to drive these skirmishers away before they can get into this BUA. So they're going to drive them off, and they'll do that by declaring a charge with these guys with the forward tasking. Now, the reason I gave them forward is because they're going to have to cross this hedge line, and that will halve their movement. So normal movement is 18, but with forwards, they get 2d6 plus 6. So 18 plus 6 is going to be 24, and 24 plus 9 is 33. They'll easily reach those skirmishers. Now the skirmishers, by contrast, will also be able to dash back into the woods, no problems at all. But they will take a CD's worth of hits on them. Do they suffer any casualties? Yes, they take one hit as the dragoons catch some of them. So let's just do all that and get the charge out of the way, and then we'll move on to the rest. Essentially what happens is the cavalry is charged to the 6-inch point. The skirmishers have evaded and they've taken one city's worth of casualties. They're back here unformed. They can't move in this turn at all. So that's them taken care of. The cavalry then simply take the ground, which they've done. So they've moved to that point there, and they have they're basically rallying on that spot there. And that is all she wrote. Now, this gun regiment could choose to fire in support of, well, no, actually they can't, because they're not, it's not support fire because it's not close order troops or troops who are going to stand. Essentially, when you charge evaders, they simply, in this case skirmishers, they simply evade, and take the casualties, and the cavalry takes the ground. So that's all the charges taken care of. So now we go to movement. The French have the initiative, so they will move first. Well, French movement is concluded. Their skirmishers, pretty much all the skirmishers have moved forward. This brigade, however, the rest of the close order troops have done nothing. Not surprising because they're hesitant. French have advanced slightly here just so they can project their skirmishers further out. These guys are remaining where they are, but their skirmishers have gone to the furthest extent of their advance. But they're within 18 inches, so that's as far as they can go unless these guys decide to step forward. And essentially the French columns that were in here, they've now formed line, getting ready to give fire if necessary. Now let's do the Prussian movement. Obviously, one of the things they're going to do is they're going to get these cavalry out of dodge because they're going to be catching round shot in a bucket if they stay there for much longer. So yes, let's do the Prussian movement. Well, for the Prussians, they've continued to advance in the centre here. They've changed from column into line, and they've sidestepped slightly to give the gunners a bit more free play. The skirmishers are converging on the Swiss skirmish line, and the Brunswick Hussars have stepped back 9 inches. And that is it. So now we do off-table movement, none for the French. So now we go with the Prussian off-table movement with the arrival of the Guard and the heavy cavalry. Prussian heavy cavalry first with their forwards tasking. They're coming on in line formation, so it's 15 plus 6 is 21. 21 plus 5 is going to be 26 inches. Now the Guard infantry is going to be, they're coming on in column, so that's going to be 2d6 plus 12. So column is 9 plus 12 is going to be 21. 21 plus 11 is 32. 32 inches. So the infantry, they've moved up to this point here. The Guard Jaeger Battalion is in skirmish order. They've gone to there. The Guards Brigade skirmish line is up to here. The 7th Infantry Regiment and then the 1st and 2nd Guard Regiments, they've moved up to there. The cavalry, for their part, well, they had all that movement. The cavalry have just come up behind the hill because that's a safe place to be. But more importantly, the attached artillery have galloped forward and unlimbered here. It's good to be horse artillery. So that's all the movement done. So now we will go to the shooting phase. And the French have the initiative, so they get to fire first. Okay, so the first lot of firing is going to come from this skirmish line, firing at that skirmish line. 5 bases, brigade skirmish line 6. There's no skirmish task in play because they went hesitant. 6 dice. 1, 2. Okay, so 2 hits, so 1 casualty on the Prussians. Okay, so now the Swiss skirmish line is going to shoot at these. They've got 4 bases, brigade skirmish line 5. So 5 dice. And they've got another hit, so that's 1 casualty on these guys here. Okay, so these guys, they're going to fire at these chaps here. So it is, again, it's 4 bases, so that's 5 dice. Again, another 1 hit. Okay, so now the Prussians will return the favour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back at the French. One hit on the French. Moving right along, we've got these guys here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they have a skirmish tasking. So that's 7. One, 2, 3, 4, so that's going to be 2 hits on the Swiss. Okay, so these guys are also going to shoot at the Swiss, so that's another 5 dice. 1, 2, that's another hit, so that removes the base from the Swiss. And then finally we've got these guys here shooting at those chaps. And 3 hits, going to be 1 casualty. None of the other skirmishers are in range, so now we're going to go to artillery fire with the French firing first, obviously. All right, so this battery here is going to fire at the Prussians on the Prussian artillery on the hill. Okay, it's just 2 dice inferior because of the range. But 10's pretty good, so that's going to be 2 hits on that Prussian battery. Now, this artillery battery here with artillery assault, they're going to fire at the Prussian horse artillery that's just unlimbered on the hill. So that's going to be an inferior shot, but with 2 CDs. The white will be the CDs. Okay, 6 is nothing. 3 and 2, nothing. So that was a bit of a fizzer. So now we go to the Prussian artillery. So this Prussian battery here is on artillery assault. They're going to shoot at this French battery here. That'll be 2 CDs inferior, but with, 2 CDs, but an inferior shot. Karumpa. Red are the shooting, white are the CDs. That's cocked. The 2 CDs are missed, but we have a 6 and a 3, which is 9. That's going to be 1 casualty, I'm pretty sure. So that's all the shooting done. There is... Just check to make sure these guys aren't in skirmish. Right? No, they're not. There's no volleys because the guys in the woods are just outside volley range of the cavalry. They don't quite reach them. So no volleys. So that ends turn 2. So now we're moving on to turn 3. And now is a good time for an intermission and a reminder that these battle reports are brought to you by Battlefield Accessories, providers of all the best tabletop terrain and gaming tokens for your gaming systems. Remember, if you're thinking excellence in wargaming terrain and tokens, think Battlefield Accessories. Alright, so now we roll for ADC availability. So we'll start off, we'll go left to right this time. The French 13th Infantry Division, they have 5 ADCs, of which 1, 2, 3, double 6, 4 are available. So they have 4. We'll also, while we're here, we'll roll for the French 12th Division. They have 5 ADCs, and they have 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 available because of the double 6. Now, the Prussians, their 1st Infantry Division, they've got 3 available. And now we roll for their 2nd Infantry Division. They've got 2 available. Now for the Prussian Guards, they have 3 ADCs, and they have all 3 available. Now we'll roll for the Blücher's command dice, and he's got them all. He can choose any colour he wants. And now for Davout, his command dice. Oh, he's only got a black. Okay, so now we're going to roll for activation. So Prussian 1st Infantry Division, their 3 ADCs. They've given 1 re-roll to this brigade here that has the attached artillery, that has artillery assault. So 3 here. So this brigade first, and they're active. The 2nd brigade has no re-rolls at all, and they're fine. Now we move across to the 2nd Infantry Division, a re-roll for each of their infantry brigades. So the 1st brigade, they're fine, and the 2nd brigade, they're fine, and the cavalry has no ADC attachment, and they're fine. So the next we're going to be rolling for is for the Prussian Guards. They have no attachment, but they are bold, so they roll 2 and take whichever they want. Yep, they're fine. And so finally, the cavalry, they have all 3 have been allocated to them, a re-roll with artillery assault, and they're fine. So the Prussians have no hesitant brigades, so for core initiative, they'll be rolling just 2 dice. Let's have a look. So this brigade has 5 ADCs. They've given an artillery assault to this brigade without a re-roll, nothing to the Swiss, and artillery assault with a re-roll for this brigade. It is worth noting that this division has 2 batteries attached, which is quite unusual, but hey, Napoleon's allocated extra batteries to beef up Davout's brigades. So this one here first, artillery assault without a re-roll, and they've gone hesitant again, so that's expensive. The Swiss without a re-roll, they're fine. And over here, artillery assault with a re-roll. Whoa, they scrape through. This division here, they have 4 ADCs. So this brigade here gets a re-roll, and they pass. This brigade here, artillery assault with a re-roll. Oh, and they pass. And this brigade here is just rolling, no brigade attachments, and they've passed. Okay, so the French have just 1 brigade with that's hesitant, and that's perfectly fine. So now we will be rolling for initiative. Neither side's corps commanders are going to be adding anything to the battle for this turn. So let's just get straight into turn 3. We're going to roll for initiative. Okay, so Prussians will be red, the French will be white. Prussians are red, they've rolled 5, the French have rolled 6. The French have the initiative for this turn. So charge declarations, there are none. Do the Prussians have any charge declarations? Nope. So we'll go straight into movement. French move first. Okay, for the French, this brigade, they simply reordered their skirmishers from their last turn when they evaded. So they're just reordered. Other than that, this brigade in the center moved forward slightly. That was just so that they could push their skirmishers further out. This brigade really has done nothing much at all. And that was it pretty much for the movement for the French. For the Prussians, the 1st Brigade of the 1st Infantry Division has advanced, and their skirmishers are pushing forward as well. And pretty much all these brigades from the 2nd Brigade, 1st Infantry Division, 1st Brigade, 2nd Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division, they've advanced. The Prussian guards are negotiating this hedge so they can get into garrison the BUA. More importantly though, the Schützen or the Guard Jäger have pushed forward because they want to start engaging the French in the woods, and the Dragoons and the Hussars are pulling back, and they're going to keep on trying to move back until they can marry back up with their brigade, because brigade integrity is important in this game. So they're now going to try and push back, and eventually they're just going to have to keep on moving until they can get back over here in support of their own division. Okay, so skirmish fire first, and we're going to start with these guys engaging those skirmishers. So 6 dice all up, and they've got 1, 2, 3 hits, so 1 casualty on these guys here. Okay, so now the Swiss skirmishers shooting at them, 4 dice, and 2 hits, so 1 casualty. Now these guys are going to shoot at them, 4 bases, 5 dice, 3 hits, 1 casualty. Okay, so now we're up to the Prussian skirmishers. These guys are going to fire. Okay, so they've got 4 bases, so that's 5 dice. 1 hit, no casualties. Okay, so these guys shooting at the Swiss, 5 dice. 2 hits, 1 casualty. Now these guys are going to shoot them as well, same target. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, 2 casualties. That's a base off from the combined fire from these guys. So these Swiss are really getting chewed up. They're really losing the skirmish fight. And finally, we've got these guys over here shooting at them. Again, 4 bases, 5 dice. Not a single hit. No casualties at all. Now we have the Guard Jäger, and they're going to shoot at these guys. They're going to have, they're a light battalion skirmish order, so 5 dice. They're rifled arm, so 6, but they're shooting into cover, -1, back down to 5 dice. 3 hits, so that's going to be 1 casualty on that battalion. So the artillery now, this battery artillery assault at the Prussian horse artillery. Okay, so the red dice are the shooting, the white dice are the CDs. Oh, good shooting, 9. That's going to be 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits. That's pretty good shooting from these French gunners. Now this battery with artillery assault firing at this Prussian battery. 9 and 1. Okay, so this time it's 2 hits. So 9 plus 1 CD, so 2 hits on this battery up here. So they're going to go up to 4 hits on them. Okay, so this battery now with artillery assault firing at this battery down here. Red are the shooting dice, white are the CDs. 4, they've hurt themselves, but they did get 1 hit. So they're trading casualties. So they take a fatigue casualty, but they put 1 on the battery yonder. Okay, this battery here will engage this battery here. And it's 2 dice, inferior, 5, no hits, but they haven't hurt themselves. Man, these Prussian gunners are not having a good round. Now the Prussian horse artillery from the Heavy Cavalry Brigade, veteran gunners firing for the first time. They'll engage the French 12-pounders. Red are the shooting dice, white are the CDs. 8 is going to be 1 and 1 on the CD, so 2 hits on the French 12-pounders. That's all the artillery fire. The only thing left now is volleys. The Jaegers, they're no mugs. They've stayed just outside volley range. So, because skirmishers can shoot 12 inches, volleys are at 9, so they're staying outside of the range of these volleys when they're peppering away. So, there's no volley fire. from either side. So that concludes turn 3. So now we'll move on to turn 4. Okay, ADC availability. We're going to do the Prussian 1st Infantry Division first. And they've got one ADC. Okay, now we'll roll for the Prussian 2nd Infantry Division. Okay, they've got 2. They're not getting many ADCs this turn. The Prussian Guard Infantry Division, or the Guard Division, which has the heavy cavalry attached. Okay, and they've got all 3. So they're consistent. And now we're going to roll Blücher's Corps Orders. Okay, he's got red, white, and blue, but not the black. Let's go do the French availability. Okay, so first we'll roll for the French 12th Infantry Division on the right flank. 1, 2, 3. All right, so they've got 3. Then we'll roll for the French 13th Infantry Division on the left flank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they've got 5. And now Marshals Davout's Corps Orders. Oh, not a 1. Something's really gone wrong with Marshal Davout's command and control. Okay, so for the Prussian 1st Infantry Division, they've simply given a re-roll to their 1st Brigade. For the Prussian 2nd Infantry Division, they've just simply given a re-roll to the 1st and 2nd Brigades in their 2nd Infantry Division. For the Guards, they have given all 3 to the Heavy Cavalry for a re-roll and artillery assault. And then for the Corps Command Order, he's sent a Corps Adjutant down to help the Guards Infantry, and they're throwing in a skirmish order there. For the French, their ADCs here, they've given 1 to the division, to the 1st Infantry Brigade for a re-roll plus artillery assault. And then over here, they've got 5. They've given a re-roll to each of their 3 brigades, but they've also given artillery assault to the Central Brigade with their 12-pounders. And obviously no Corps orders to issue. So now we'll roll for brigade activation. So we'll start with the 1st Brigade, 12th Infantry Division. They've got a re-roll and they've passed. The Swiss Brigade, no re-roll. They've gone hesitant. 3rd Brigade, 12th Infantry Division, they've passed. Brigade here with a re-roll, they've passed. The brigade with the artillery assault, they've passed. And the brigade in the woods, they've passed. Okay, so the French only have 1 hesitant brigade, and that is the Swiss. Okay, let's do the Prussians. Okay, so 1st Infantry Brigade, 1st Infantry Division, with a re-roll, 2 and a 4, so they've passed. This brigade here, they don't have a re-roll at all. 6, they've passed. This brigade here with a re-roll, 1 and a 5, they've passed. This brigade here with a re-roll, 5 and a 6, they've passed. The Guard Division Heavy Cavalry Brigade with a re-roll and artillery assault, 4 and 2, so they've passed. And finally the Guard Infantry Brigade, this Cavalry Brigade without a re-roll from this division, 1, they've gone hesitant. The Guard Infantry Brigade with a re-roll because they're bold and the skirmish tasking, 4 and a 4, so they've passed. So the Prussians have 1 hesitant brigade, which is the Cavalry Brigade from the 2nd Infantry Division. Okay, so now we're going to roll for Army Initiative. Both sides are rolling 2d6, and the Prussians will be white and the French will be red. Okay, both have rolled an 11. That's a tie. I'm pretty sure the side that had the initiative last turn will maintain it, but I'll check. I can confirm that in the case of a tie, the side with the higher quality divisional, corps commander would win the tie. So if Davout was classed as superior, but Blücher was classed as pedestrian, then Davout would get it. But in this case, both are classed as superior corps commanders. So the side that had the initiative last turn will have the initiative for this turn. So the French have the initiative. Huzzah! So the first thing we start off with, charge declarations. There are none, so we're going to go straight into movement. French moving first, followed by the Prussians. Okay, so for the French movement, the brigade skirmish line from this brigade has come up to the edge of the woods as these guys have stepped back to take on the firefight with the Prussian Guard Jaeger. The two centre brigades have advanced. The reason they're going forward is, one, they can project their skirmish lines forward, but also gives them more room if things go pear-shaped, more table space to fall back through. And also if any supports have to come on, there's room for them. Obviously the Swiss have done nothing other than pulled back their brigade skirmish line, so that's now gone. Last thing they want to do is falter because the brigade skirmish line has been destroyed. And here the first French line, the first French Leger or French Light Infantry are basically coming up. Again, they're moving forward so that they can give themselves more room to rally if things go bad. So now we'll go on and move the Prussian troops. For the Prussians, 1st Infantry Brigade, 1st Division, they've not really done much. They've still got this skirmish fight they're trying to sort out. This brigade, the 2nd Brigade of the 1st Division, the two lead battalions have broken into line formation. A bit nervous about the artillery, but the brigade skirmish lines are all basically starting to gang up on this battalion here. So this brigade skirmish line, this brigade skirmish line, this brigade skirmish line, they're all converging on the skirmish line from the 51st Regiment. And over here, the hesitant cavalry from the 2nd Division are all starting to move in behind their parent division or parent brigades. And then for the Guards Infantry, they've garrisoned into the this village here, Braide-le-Ord, and the brigade skirmish line from the Guards has come up to engage these French over here. The Guard Jaeger holding their position, and they're going to start shooting into those French skirmishers. And that's pretty much all the movement done. So now we go to firing, and the French have the initiative, so we'll start with the French skirmishers and then Prussian skirmishers. So now we're going to start with a skirmish fire. This brigade skirmish line is going to engage the Guard Jaeger. So 5 bases, 6 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. That's going to be 2 casualties. So now we have this brigade skirmish line engaging the Guards battalion skirmish line. So it's 5 dice. 3 hits, so that's 1 casualty. And so now the 51st Regiment's brigade skirmish line is shooting at those skirmishers. 2 hits, 1 casualty. Now the 1st Light Infantry Regiment, the 1st Legers, they'll shoot at these guys. So 6 dice. 1 hit, so nothing. Okay, now for the Prussian skirmishers. 5 dice back. And not a single hit. Now all 3 of these brigade skirmish lines are going to fire on these guys. So we're going to go right to left. These guys here, 5 dice. 3 hits, that's 1 casualty. Next one along, 1, 2, 3 hits, so that's another casualty, that's a base off. And then the final brigade skirmish line, 4 hits, 2 casualties. So these guys are getting shot to shreds at the moment. So now the Guards Brigade skirmish line, 5 bases, 6 dice, 2 hits, so 1 casualty on these guys. And then finally the Guard Jaeger, 5 dice for a light battalion, rifle arm 6, shooting into woods, back down to 5. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hits, 2 casualties, that's 1 base off this brigade skirmish line. Now we go to artillery fire, and these guys have artillery assault, the 12 pounders, and they're going to fire onto the horse artillery battery on the hill again. Okay, the red dice are the shooting dice, the white dice are the CDs. Okay, 7 is going to be 1 hit because it's inferior, and a 6 is another. So 2 hits on the horse artillery battery. So now this battery will fire onto the battery on the hill. It'll just be an inferior shot. 7 is 1 hit. So they're up to 5 casualties as well. Those batteries on the hill are getting a bit of a pasting. Now this battery on artillery assault, again, this time they're firing counter battery, and the white will be the CDs. So 5 is nothing and nothing. So ineffective fire from this battery. So now the Prussians will return the favour. Just a inferior battery shooting back, no artillery assault, but they have rolled a 7, which is going to be 1 hit. And now both of these batteries are going to open fire. Now this battery did have artillery assault, but it has since gone up to 5 casualties. You can't do an artillery assault when you're on 4, so unfortunately they're going to lose that. That means that these batteries are just going to be firing inferior. This battery will fire at that French battery. This battery will fire at the French 12-pounder batteries. We'll do them both simultaneously because I'm multitasking and a bit of a guru. White is on the right. 7 and 6. So nothing from this battery, but the 7 will put 1 hit on the 12-pounders. So that's all the artillery firing done. We're now at volleys. No one's in volley range, so there's no volley firing to be done. And so that will end this turn. Okay, start of turn 5. We're rolling for ADC availability. We'll start with the Prussians. Let's start with the 1st Infantry Division. And they've got 3. Now, the 2nd Infantry Division, they've got 2. And the Guards and Heavy Cavalry Division, they've got 1. Now we'll roll for Blücher's orders. Now Blücher has none. Now, the French 12th Infantry Division, 1, 2, 3. And now the 13th Infantry Division, 1, 2, 3. So they've got 3 also. Now we're going to roll for Davout, corps orders. He's got a red and a white. All right, so now we're going to roll for brigade initiative. We'll start with the Prussians. The Prussian 1st Division, their 1st Brigade, they've got an artillery assault and a re-roll. That's their 3 ADCs used up. So they've got a re-roll and they've passed. The 2nd Infantry Division, oh sorry, we've got to do this brigade here. The 2nd Infantry Brigade, no re-roll, but they've passed. Okay, the 2nd Infantry Division, their 1st Brigade, re-roll, 2nd Brigade, a re-roll. the divisional commander has allocated a caisson to their battery because it's carrying 5 casualties. So 1st Brigade, 2nd Division, passed. 2nd Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division with the artillery and a caisson allocated, and they've passed. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll go on to the Guards Brigade. Oh, before we do though, there is the Cavalry Brigade that's attached to the 2nd Division, so we better roll for them. They've got no re-rolls, nothing added, and they've passed. All right, now we'll move on to the Guards. Okay, so the Guards Division, they've got obviously two brigades, the Cavalry Brigade and the Infantry Brigade. The Cavalry Brigade, the divisional commander has allocated a caisson to try to drive those 5 casualties down to 3. The Cavalry, they have the 1 ADC attached to them to give them the re-roll. So we'll see how that goes for them. And they've passed just 3, so that can remove the 5 casualties, takes it back down to 3. And now we'll roll for the Infantry Brigade. No ADCs attached, but he is a bold brigade commander, so he gets an organic re-roll, and he's passed. So the Prussians have no hesitant brigades, and both caissons from the 2nd Division and the brigade, the Cavalry Guards Brigade, they've both lost 1 caisson, so they're down to 1 caisson. Right, let's do the French. Okay, before we start rolling for French Brigade initiatives, Marshal Davout has used the red dice and allocated a corps aide-de-camp to the 13th Infantry Division. So now we'll roll for the individual brigades. We'll start from the left and go right. So each of these brigades have 1 re-roll. So the 3 ADCs, re-roll, re-roll, re-roll. So we're now going to roll for the 51st line. 51st line with a re-roll. Oh, double 1. Well, they're going to go hesitant. Now the Swiss with a re-roll. They're fine. And we might as well do the 1st Line Infantry Regiment over there, also with a re-roll. Well, they've passed. So now we're going to roll for the 13th Infantry Division. They have given a ADC to each of their brigades, and the corps ADC has been allocated to the 3rd Brigade, which is under Colonel Tripe, and they have a skirmish tasking as well. So a re-roll, and a re-roll with the skirmish task as well. So this, the 1st Brigade first, they've passed. This brigade here, they've passed. And the brigade with the skirmish tasking as well, they've passed. There's a 3 there, so that's irrelevant. So the French have only have 1 hesitant brigade. So that's not going to be enough to trigger any additional dice. Okay, so we're going to roll for corps initiative now. The French will be white, the Prussians will be red. Okay, the French are 8, the Prussians are 7. The French have the initiative again. Okay, so there was no charge declaration, so what we'll do is we'll go through the movement for the French first. Essentially, the French pulled most of their skirmish lines back in. Other than that, they really did not do much at all. Just the skirmish lines were pulled back in, except for this one up here. It stayed out because it's getting the better of the fight. And the 1st Infantry, the 1st Light Infantry, 1st Léger, these 2 battalions have come up parallel level with the battery and the edge of the front line of the village, which is as far as they can advance unless they get a redeploy order. So that was all the movement for the French. Now let's have a look at the Prussian movement. Prussian movement was a little bit more dramatic. Essentially, the 2 trailing battalions have passed through the lines. The lines have reformed into column, and now the lines are at the front. They're making a demonstration towards the village of Nivelles. Same. The 2nd Infantry Division has advanced on the whole, so the whole Infantry Division has advanced. The 2nd Infantry Division's Cavalry Brigade is continuing to move around this feature here, obviously to come in support behind their parent infantry division. For the Prussians, They noticed a lot of carrying on, dispatch riders coming forward to the skirmish line, thinking they might get the worst of it. They've pulled back rather than getting into a shooting fight that they'll probably lose. They might be veteran light infantrymen, and they're not idiots. And that's all the movement done. So now we'll go into shooting. The French have the initiative. So skirmish fire first. So let's do that. I did forget to include the movement of the Guards Brigade skirmish line, which has moved more to the right in support of their own parent brigade. So now we'll go on to. So the only skirmishers that are in range on the French side are the 51st and the 1st Light Infantry. So the 51st can shoot at these guys here, so they will. Okay, so there's 3 bases. That means 4 dice. Hitting on 4, 5s, and 6s. Okay, 2 hits, 1 casualty. That will remove a base from these Prussians. Ouch. So now the brigade skirmish line from the 1st Léger will fire on the Prussians. So 6 dice. 1, 2, 2, 6, 6, 5. 3 hits, 1 casualty. That will remove a base. So now the Prussian skirmishers shoot back. 3 bases, 4 dice. And 1, 2, 4, 6. So that's going to be a hit. Chipping away, but they're really losing that fight. They won't be hanging around there for much longer. That just leaves the skirmishers for the Prussians in the centre. So the only ones that can hit that skirmish line here are these guys. These guys are just over 12 inches away from the artillery battery, so they can't shoot at them. But then again, they can't be hit with canister fire in return. So that leaves these guys shooting at them. So that is 3 bases, 4 dice. One hit, no casualties. The garrison's not in range of anyone to shoot. That's all the skirmish fire done. And so now we'll go on to artillery fire with the, obviously with the French fire. So we start off with this artillery battery here firing first. It'll be a long range shot because they're still engaging in the counter battery fire. So 2 dice, 6, nothing. They chanced that shot because they can see the Prussian gunners are bringing up caissons and whatnot, and they're obviously going to do an artillery assault. They've got 3 casualties on them. If they could get a 4th one, at least they wouldn't have to worry about the artillery assault coming in on. But they weren't able to do the job, so they're going to be catching an artillery assault from the Prussians. So, moving right along. This battery is hesitant. However, the Prussians have advanced within effective range, so they will be able to fire. So they will fire at the advancing Prussian columns that are coming towards them. So they're going to fire at the reservists on the left as they see them. So it's effective range, so they will get a CD for that. So the red dice are obviously the shooting dice, the white dice is the CD. 5 is sad. I think it might be 1 hit at effective range, but in all probability it's only going to be a miss. Let's have a look here. Engaging with my handy dandy Battlefields accessories widget. Standard battery, 5. Oh no, it's 1. And also 1 from the CD. So 2 casualties on those guys. It's not canister fire, it's round shot because they're outside canister range. So round shot goes straight through skirmishers, obviously, and into the columns. They also will get bounced through onto the column behind, which is the Fusiliers. So no, it's a 1, so no hits on the Fusiliers. Now we go to the 12 pounders, and the 12 pounders are engaging the horse artillery battery on the hill yet again. But it's a long range shot. 2 dice. 3, they've hurt themselves. The gunners aren't having much joy today. Okay, so that's the French artillery, now the Prussian gunners. So these gunners here are firing at the French gunners, an artillery duel. The Prussians are really keen to silence any French artillery, so that's what they're doing. The red are the shooting dice, the white are the CDs, because they've got an artillery assault in play. Okay, 9, but nothing on the CDs. 9's going to be at long range. I think it's going to be 1 hit. So inferior battery, long range 1. But that does take those French gunners up to 4 casualties. Yeah, so now what we've got is both batteries are firing here. They're both going to fire at this battery here. The reason for that is concentrated fire is always better than dispersed. Red will be on the right, white will be on the left. 2 batteries firing, inferior batteries, because they're firing at long range. 8 and 7, both is going to be 1 and 1, so that's 2 hits on the battery, and I'm going to give them a bounce through onto the line as well. So 2 hits on the batteries, and one bounce through from this battery onto the 51st Line's 2nd Battalion. So 3 casualties inflicted all up. So there are no volleys to be fired. No one's at volley range yet. So that ends the turn. We now move on to turn 6. Now turn 6 sees the arrival of Prince William of Orange's Netherlands division, and that will be arriving on the Prussian right flank. So probably now's a good time just to have a bit of a pause and have a look at the tactical overview from the French perspective. None of the brigades are faltering. They're all in pretty good shape. They're 6 turns down, so they've been delaying the Prussians quite admirably, and they have not been able. They've not been required to bring any of their reserve brigades on, let alone the guard, the young guard division. So they're in a fairly good situation at the moment from their perspective. For the Prussians, as you can see, most of the movement seems to be moving towards the center and the French left, or their Prussian right. This is in keeping with their plan that they were going to wait for the Dutch-Belgian division to arrive, and that would be the hammer which they would use to cleave open the French left flank. But they're also demonstrating in the center, and the reason for that is they want to keep the French in this area pinned down and threaten to take this BUA or rupture the center. Also, by deliberately keeping their the Prussians' left flank suspiciously weak, it might tempt the French to bring some of the troops onto the French right, when just as the Prussians are going to be striking the French left. So that's the situation as we are at the beginning of turn 6, and also at the end of turn 6, they might get a message. The French might get a message from Napoleon, letting them know how the battle's going from their perspective, and the Dutch Belgians and the Prussians might get a message from Wellington saying how the battle at Hull is going. So it's important to remember this battle is not happening in isolation. There's a big battle going on at the Battle of Hull between Wellington and Napoleon. Okay, so it's the start of turn 7, so we're going to roll for ADC availabilities. We'll start with the Prussians first. Okay, so their 1st Infantry Division, and they have two available. The 2nd Infantry Division, they have 1 available. The Guards and Cavalry Brigade, they have all 3 available. And then finally, the Dutch Belgians, they have 3 ADCs. They have 3 brigades coming, but because William is classed as a blusterer, they only get 3 ADCs available. How many are, well, they have 3 ADCs. How many are available? They have 1. So now we'll do the French. We'll start off with the 1st Infantry Division. They have 5 ADCs, and of those 5 they have only 2 available. And now we'll do the 13th Infantry Division. Of their 5 ADCs, they have 1, 2, 3 available. So both sides are struggling with ADCs this turn. Might as well roll for corps orders. So we'll start with Blücher. He's got blue, white, and black. And now we'll roll for Davout. He has blue, white, and red. He's missed out on the black. For Davout, he's going to use his corps order to add an additional aide-de-camp to the 13th Infantry Division. As for Blücher, he's going to keep the blue up his sleeve. He doesn't really want to use the white or the black, but the blue might be useful to ride the line. So we'll just see how we go with brigades activating. So with that, we'll now allocate ADCs to tasks and then roll for them. Okay, so let's roll for activations. First, the 1st Light Infantry Regiment has 2 ADCs allocated to them, 1 for a re-roll and 1 for skirmish, and they've passed. There's no ADCs allocated to the Swiss, so they're fine, and no ADCs allocated to the 51st Regiment, and they've gone hesitant. Okay, so now we're going to deal with the 13th Infantry Division. All 3 of their ADCs have been allocated to the 2nd Brigade, which is Colonel Senac's brigade. They've got a re-roll and artillery assault, so we'll do that. And they've passed, and the Corps ADC was allocated to Colonel Plansnau's brigade. He's bold, so he doesn't need a re-roll, but he does need the reserves order to get on. So he's going to attempt to come on, and he gets the order. Colonel Chevalier's 1st Brigade, they've gone hesitant, and finally Colonel Tripe's brigade in the woods, and they're fine. Okay, so that's another hesitant brigade, but because they're not in the same division, that's not going to trigger an extra dice for corps initiative. You have to have 2 hesitant brigades in 1 division, and they're in separate divisions. So now we're going to roll for the 1st Infantry Division. We're going to give a re-roll to this brigade because they have artillery attached, and they've passed. The 2nd Infantry Division, no re-roll, and they've passed. And then the Cavalry Brigade has got a reserve order because we want to bring them on. And he is bold, so he doesn't need a re-roll, so he just gets the 2 dice anyway, and he passes. So they're all obeying orders. And so now we will go to the Prussian 2nd Infantry Division. They have 1 ADC, and they've allocated their 1 ADC to their 2nd Brigade with the attached artillery. So for the 1st Brigade, they've passed. 2nd Brigade with a re-roll, they've passed. And the Cavalry Brigade that's moving post-haste to their rear, they've passed. So far, so good. Now we move on to the Prussian Guards and Heavy Brigade. Now they have given all 3 yet again to the Cavalry Brigade because they have a re-roll and artillery assault. And they've rolled a 5 and a 3, so they've passed. And then the Guards Infantry, they have a bold commander, no specific order, but they've passed us with a 6 and a 5. Now we'll roll for the Netherlands Division. They've got 1 ADC. They're going to give that to their Cavalry Brigade. So for the Netherlands Infantry Brigade, they're fine. The Nassau Infantry Brigade, they're fine. And the Dutch-Belgian Cavalry Brigade, they're hesitant. Now, Blücher could technically ride the line and make that Dutch-Belgian cavalry brigade not hesitant, but I'm going to play it that they're not actually on the battlefield yet, so Blücher would not be aware that they are not hesitant. Furthermore, they're not part of his corps, and so until they come onto the battlefield and then Prince William of Orange can release his division to Blücher, they probably won't be under their command. So if this gnarly dude with the pipe came riding up to them, speaking to them in German, telling them to be unhesitant or get their act together, then there's a good chance they might just blow him off anyway. So they're not going to do that. And also, if you do ride the line, you forfeit that dice. You can't use it in the next turn, and it might be more to the Prussians' advantage to make sure that they have a brigade that's hesitant not be so in the next turn. So that's all that done. So now we're going to roll for corps initiative, and both sides will be rolling 2 dice. So Prussians are red. The Prussians have rolled a 4, the French have rolled a 9, so the French have the initiative for this turn. There are no charge declarations for either side, so we're going to go straight into movement. Obviously, the French will move first. Okay. For the French, their movement, the only movement is their skirmish line got pushed back here in the 1st Brigade of the 12th Infantry Division as the Prussians advanced. So other than that, though, they haven't done any movement over here at all. Obviously, the Swiss are quite happy, and the Hessian Brigade's done movement. They did some formation changes in the 1st Brigade of the 13th Infantry Division, and same with the 2nd Brigade. Essentially, they've formed columns to create more space because obviously in the off-table movement phase, this cavalry brigade with their artillery is going to probably move into this gap here. For the Prussians, they've advanced menacingly with their guards, light infantry, brigade skirmish screen, and their guard Jaeger battalion. This battalion here simply has crossed the hedge to close up with the BUA. The cavalry from the 2nd Infantry Division has moved around in support of their division. And basically the Prussians in the center are advancing towards Nivelles. The reason for this is they're putting pressure on the French center and left so that the French are less likely to shift reserves to the Prussian right, the French left, where the Dutch, Belgians and Nassau troops will be entering. So that's all the off-table, on-table movement. Now off-table, the French moving first, and then the Dutch, Belgians and Nassau troops coming on. So for the French off-table movement, Pezin's Dragoon Brigade has come on. Their veteran cavalry here, their Grenadier quality cavalry here, and the horse artillery there. And of course the reserve cavalry from the 1st Prussian Infantry Division have come on. Everyone's really talking about is the arrival of the Netherlands Division. So we have the Nassau Brigade arriving. They have foot artillery attached. We have the Netherlands Infantry Brigade arriving, and then we have the Cavalry Brigade arriving. The Cavalry Brigade consists of a Hussar regiment. The Carabineers are trailing off behind them, as is their horse artillery. So they've all come on. They're hesitant. They've come onto the table, but they're not doing anything else. And that is the situation at the end of all the movement. So now we go on to firing. Okay, so the first lot of firing, these skirmishers here, they have the skirmisher tasking as well, so that's going to add another 2. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dice. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits, which is 2. And they'll shoot at these guys, but because they've got a brigade skirmish line in arc and in range, the first hit has to go on them. So 1 hit on these guys and 1 hit on these guys. Yeah, so now the garrison's going to fire out. They're going to shoot at these guys over here. So it's 5 dice. And they've got 2 hits, so that's 1 casualty. So that's a base off these guys. Now this brigade skirmish line here is firing at, I'll shoot at these guys here. 4 dice, 3 hits, so that's going to be 1 casualty on that brigade skirmish line. Okay, so they're in range. If over half can hit, they can all hit. So 5 dice, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Geez, that's good shooting. That's 2 hits, so that's a base off these guys. Okay, so now the brigade skirmish line from this brigade is firing at the guard Jaeger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice, and that's 6, 6, 3, 3, 2. Okay, so 1 hit. So they'll go up to 3 casualties. So that's all the skirmish fire now from the French. Now it's the Prussians' turn. The Prussians return fire. Light battalion 5, rifle arm 6, into woods, dropped back down to 5. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So 1 hit on these guys. But they've also got the brigade skirmish line to fire as well. So they've got 4 bases, brigade skirmish line 5, but they're firing into the woods, back down to 4. 1, 4, 5, 5. So another hit, that's another casualty on them. Now there's 2 distinct brigade skirmish lines firing at those skirmishers. So the first one's got 4 bases, so that's 5 dice. And they've rolled, well, every single one's a hit. So that's a 6, 6, a 4, and a 5. So that's 2 casualties. And then another 4 skirmishers firing from here. So 5, a 4, and a 2. So that's 3 casualties. That's a base off. So now this little brigade skirmish line here is going to fire at the BUA. It's only going to be 2 dice. They're normally 3 plus 1 for the brigade skirmish line, so 4. But they drop 2 shooting into a BUA. But they do get a hit regardless. So that's 1 hit on this battalion here. And finally, 4 dice here into the, so it's 1, 2, 3, and a 4. So no hits at all. Okay, so that's all the skirmish fire done. Okay, now with the artillery, we've got an artillery assault here. Again, onto that horse artillery battery. So it's 2 dice plus 2 dice CDs. The red are the shooting dice. So it's a 6, which is nothing because of long range, but they do get 1 hit with the 5. So that will take that horse battery back up to 4 casualties. Now we have this battery, and though it's hesitant, they are within effective range. Anyway, they're going to shoot at these guys. They've got 2 hits on them already, so we might as well keep it up. So it's just 2 dice. 6 is going to be 1 hit. Okay, so now we've got this battery firing. Now the situation is they've got infantry columns advancing on either side of them. So I'm going to let the dice decide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so they're going to shoot at this column here. That gives them an extra dice because they're shooting at a column at effective range. So the white is the CD, obviously. 4, okay, they've hurt themselves, but they did get 1 hit on that column. So they've now gone up to 5 casualties, but they've got 1 hit on these infantry regiment number 9. They also get bounced through onto the battalion behind them, but they don't get a hit. Okay, so now this battery is firing at the French battery. Long range inferior shot, but they've got an 11. Ow. An 11 is 2 hits, so they're now up to 7, so that's a worn battery. Okay, so now both of these batteries are going to fire, and because the main effort is the right, they're going to concentrate on anything that might be a threat to this attack that's developing on the Prussian right. So both batteries are going to fire at the horse artillery that's just coming onto the battlefield. So white will be from this battery, red will be from this battery. They're both inferior long-range shots, but we have a 9 from one battery, and we have 6 from the other. So nothing from one, but 1 hit from the other one. So we're nothing at volley range. Oh, hang on, we do. We do have 2 volleys that we could deliver from these columns, but that risks them going, losing fire discipline, and rolling a single CD is probably not worth it. So they're going to push on without using the volley. So that's the situation at the end of turn. Hey guys, so we're going to pause it there because it's now 2 p.m. on the afternoon of the 18th of June. To recap where we're at, the battle started at 11 a.m. as the Prussians were moving onto the road directly before the village of Nivelles. Heavy rain from the night before had made the going slow, so the battle commenced at 11 a.m. We've played 6 turns, which I basically give each turn being about half an hour of combat. So we're 6 hours into the battle now. At this point, the Netherlands division has arrived on the right-hand flank of the Prussian army, and the main effort is now going to develop with that attack on the right. Now, also, messengers will be arriving from headquarters for Davout from Napoleon, explaining the situation at the Battle of Hal, and at the same time, messengers from Davout will be arriving at Napoleon's headquarters in that area of operations. At the same time, Wellington will have sent messengers, hopefully will have been able to get through to Blücher, but that's a little bit more difficult because it's a more circular route that the messengers would have to take, and they would literally, if they were coming down, if the messengers were coming down through this way, they would have to go through French lines. So the messengers for Wellington to Blücher would have to come around this way and down, whereas the messages from Napoleon to Davout and vice versa would simply go down this road and up. So the French have the advantage of better communications. Now that's significant because if Napoleon wants Davout to withdraw for whatever reason, that message is more likely to get through. Whereas if Wellington is telling Blücher to withdraw or to push harder, again, that message is less likely to go through. So that will be adjudicated randomly by a dice roll. Essentially, there'll be an 80% chance of messages getting through from from Napoleon through to Davout and vice versa, but only a 30% chance of messages getting from Wellington through to Blücher or Blücher through to Wellington. So we're going to wrap it up there. In part 2, we will continue with the battle. We'll find out if messages have been arrived, and we'll also then continue with this battle. And again, remember, this is being played in conjunction with a game that's being played by Steve at Basement 1908. So this battle, again, I reiterate, is not being played in isolation. And preservation of troops is also an important part of the campaign. So that's where we're at. And we'll wrap it up there. I recommend that you go have a look at the battles that have been played in this campaign on the Basement 1908. Steve's got a great channel over there, and it's well worth subscribing to and supporting. And if you've liked what you've seen here, please like, share, and subscribe also. And with that, we'll wrap it up, and I'll see you back here. I suspect it'll be about 4 or 5 days before part 2 is uploaded, because I have to do a bit of housekeeping with Steve. But that's the nature of playing a collaborative campaign with someone on the other side of the planet. But anyway, if you've got any suggestions, if you saw any mistakes, please feel free to let me know what they are. Comments, I always love seeing the comments. And if anyone wants to make any suggestions tactically for the French or the Prussians or the Dutch Belgians, I'd really be interested in hearing them, because like I said, I'm simply the hand of God moving troops around on the table. A lot of the actual tactical decision making, I break down into possibility A, possibility B, possibility C, and then I roll a dice and let the randomness of a dice roll decide what's going to happen. It does make for pretty interesting games. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you shortly. Ubiquay.